Super excited to have host of the Tammi Mack Show on 102.3 KJLH. She's also TV host on Fox Soul and an award-winning actress. Tammi Mack, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you for having me on Go Girl.
Woo-woo, and go girl, because you are being so vocal right now, and I love it, especially as a Black woman in media. We need to hear your voice right now. I hear you on 102.3 KJLH. I see your Instagram post, and you and you are being real right now, and that's what we need. I do want to talk about, because first off, how are you doing with everything
Um,
that's going on in the world? How are you doing?
it's been challenging for me. It's been
Okay.
quite challenging because it's a lot to process and to have to report on it every day.
Yeah.
And then report non-biasly. As a journalist, you have to give the facts minus your opinion. Unfortunately, we live in a world now where we're bombarded with people's opinion and their analysts of situations that no one has ever experienced to even have knowledge of where it's going or
Mhm.
why it's here. So for me, the facts matter.
Mhm.
And so I'm trying to live in this world of facts where we actually have a world that's full of fiction today. So a lot of people don't like Donald Trump, but he gets it right when he says fake news,
Mhm.
because news is not opinionated. News is completely and purely factual. And I think that we need more of those journalists back so that we can figure out things on our own as opposed to listening to the talking heads that chatter.
Well, there are a lot of people who are blogging now and sharing their opinion, or, social media is around now. So people are sharing more of their views. And that actually gives you an outlet, though, right? Your social media platform, because some of the things you say on your show, I'm not sure if you can, or some of the things you say on social media, are you able to say it on your show?
I've been encouraged to say it on my show. The truth of the matter is I never have,
Mm-hmm.
but I have been encouraged to say it on my show. So I think when you see my show starting Friday,
Mm-hmm.
or starting within a week or so, you will see a drastic change in what it was to what it will become.
Okay.
It will be more about me speaking and having a voice for the people. And I pride myself on that for those who believe that I have a voice that can speak for the meek of the earth.
Yeah, it's important because you are the number one show in LA for
Yeah.
African Americans. So I believe your voice, especially right now with what's happening with racism and police brutality, people need to hear the truth. So I really admired and liked that you had a day where you just stopped the music. And when we think about that in media, we think, oh my gosh, the money, what's going to happen with the money and everything. But you were like, we're going to stop, or you and whoever else is in charge, stop the music and let the voices be heard of the people in the streets. And why did you do that? And what was the response like?
Well, I honestly believe that things are hitting us so hard,
Mm-hmm.
and people want to talk and they want to vent and they want to express themselves, but there's nowhere to go
Right.
outside the beauty shop and the barber shop. And guess what? We're in the
We
middle of
can't
a
go.
pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't even go to the beauty shop and the barber shop right now
Mm-hmm.
and have barber shop talk or beauty shop talk. So there's really literally nowhere for people to express themselves on a platform. And KJLH, which has been in Los Angeles for over 50 years now, has been the voice and the platform for African Americans to speak. And with Stevie Wonder creating it and designing it to be radio free, that's the part that allowed me to say, I don't want to do music today. I want to hear
Mm-hmm.
from my people. I want my people to talk. I want them to be able to get this off their chest and bring a couple of other people in who are familiar with police brutality and police activity, which that was the mayor of Inglewood, who was once the police chief, and attorney Brian Dunn, who is at the Cochran firm and was mentored under Johnny Cochran, who knows a thing or two about being a civil rights attorney. And so I wanted to bring those types of people in so that they can kind of balance out the hatred and the madness and the anger that we feel with some
Yeah.
sort of truth and facts,
Mhm.
as much as we maybe don't like the truth and facts when we're hit with them. You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
I think it's a good thing to always have that balance out.
And how was the audience for your show that day. I'm pretty sure people were angry. I'm pretty sure people were like just fed up. You know, we are tired. We're
Hell yeah,
tired of
I'm
seeing
mad.
this.
I'm angry. I'm
Okay.
tired. You
Yeah.
know, like
We've seen
I'm
this
like,
forever.
oh my Jesus, it's like how much more, you
Hmm.
know, and even in the middle of riots and protests and pandemonia and pandemics, even in the midst of all of that, they're still killing us.
Yeah.
They're still killing Black men for absolutely no reason. Even in the midst of it all, what does that say? Like, you can't even give us a timeout while we talking about it and
Right.
protesting. Like, you can't, we get no days off, none. You
None.
can't just today be like, you know what, let him go, Bob, we don't need this trouble. Just one day.
Because we're
No.
still Black in America, you
Yeah.
know, and that's how they see us. Like, oh, well, you're still Black. People are getting approached by the cops when they have their mask on differently, and with people, white people who don't have their mask on. So
Right.
it's like, all right, we're still Black, and they're still
Yeah,
the
it's crazy.
cops. It's crazy. It's crazy. And they don't care. And I'm pretty sure the audience was outraged. People are taken to the streets and people are trying to protest
Mhm.
peacefully or non peacefully and just trying to get their voices heard. Right now, they have been arrested and charged, but, you know, hopefully they're
Well, I
convicted.
think a couple of them are off on bail.
Bail.
Out on
Yeah.
bail.
Bail. So it's like, I don't know. I mean, I feel like America has been shaken up a little bit by this, and some white people are speaking out about it. I'm sure there could be more, but we need to really make some changes. And that's why I liked your video. You said white allies need Black receipts
Mhm.
because we can post a picture on social media. We can do, I saw some white friends, they post the Black photo on
Yeah,
Instagram. That's cute and all. But
it's
it's like,
cute.
what else are you doing? We're having conversations, some of them. I've been blocked by a few, all good. But
Uh.
you know what I mean? But what else do you think we can do, or what would you like to tell um, people out there who want to really get involved and really make a change? What do you want them to where to start?
Um, well, because everyone has a platform now, everybody wants to talk about it. And to be honest, with all the platforms I have, I'm tired of talking. I can't
Hmm.
even lie. Like, what else is there left to say? So for me, the talking is not enough, and the town halls and the justice for all meetings are a little bit passe to me. And
Hmm.
so I think that what needs to happen is that companies who have supported politicians and laws who are in place right now need to support those, like they need to do the reverse. So if you were a lobbyist or if you supported a certain lobbyist, or if you're a politician and a certain lobbyist is lobbying for you, you need to, like, those lobbyists need to change their course of what
Hmm.
they're fighting for, is what I'm saying.
Hmm.
And if the NFL is supporting um, a politician that doesn't support the justice for all Americans, including Blacks, including Latinas, including Japanese and Asians, including, you know, if they're not supporting and giving their money and their power to a candidate or any type of justice system locally that does not that is not for
Hmm.
inclusion in America, then
Hmm.
they should stop giving them their money.
Hmm.
And so that's where I think it needs to start. I think it needs to start at the corporations who own America, because America is owned by corporations.
Hmm.
And so those corporations who own America need to be corporations that don't tweet about how Black Lives Matter, but show us that Black Lives Matter through your power and your money, in terms of taking it. I hear you giving us money, and that's cool, but if we can't do anything with $250 million if your laws don't change.
Right. It's just
So
going to be a
it's
cycle.
nice, yeah, it's nice to give Black causes $250 million, but what we need is for you to go talk to your boys who are in office and tell them that if they don't change those laws and if they're not a part of those changes, that you will no longer support them. And that's the kind of Black receipts that we need.
It's about
That's
taking
you standing for justice and taking a stand.
the power and the money because that's what runs
Yeah.
America.
I need you to utilize your white power and subtract your white money.
Mm. I like that soundbite right there. Okay. No, but it's real and it's true. But it's kind of funny and hypocritical though when we have like the NFL, the 49ers to be exact, posting a black photo. And this is the exact thing that Colin Kaepernick fought for years ago, silently protesting, kneeling the knee, while people are saying the national anthem, and instead they post a photo now acting like they understand what's being done in America. I feel like a lot of companies are. I feel like some people treat it as a trend. Like, man, if we don't say anything right now, then people are going to look at us crazy. So let's
It
say
is a trend.
something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's absolutely a trend. And $250 million will last as long as the trend lasts.
Mm-hmm.
And by the time the trend is over, that money will be over, and we'll be sitting around looking like, okay, well, where did the 250 go, and to what black causes, and what has changed with the 200? Like, we'll be looking around. It's like your mama give you $200, and all of a sudden you don't know where it went.
Right.
Because you bought some Skittles over here, and over here you brought you some Jordans, and then over here you brought you something else, and then by the time you look down, you're like, damn, I only have $5 left, but where did I spend my money?
Mm-hmm.
And we don't want you giving us money, and we look around 3 years from the day when the trend is over, going, well, what did we do with the money?
What do
Because
we
the
do?
laws are the same,
What
and they
do
still killing black men. So
exactly?
what do we do with the money?
That's what I was going to say. And what happens next? Because we're fighting for George Floyd. And within these past 2 weeks, we're still hearing about more injustices, more killings,
Yeah,
more lynchings now.
yeah,
More
it's been
lynchings.
crazy. It's been crazy. It's almost like we need to give black men secret service security.
Mm-hmm.
Black men need to walk around with security and cameras.
Damn. Damn. It's to that point. No, really. Can't be safe in their own neighborhood. Can't be safe walking, driving, eating
Falling
Skittles.
asleep in
Just
the
nothing.
drive-through.
Yeah. Just nothing. It's very tiring. Like you said, we're tired. You are a black woman in media. You have these platforms, social media, Fox Soul, KJLH. You're speaking about it. You're on a Go Girl podcast talking about it. How do you decompress from it all? How do you take care of yourself through it all? Or is it just this is our life? This is what it is.
Well, I said that after this whole pandemic was over, that I would take a little staycation to Cabo and decompress and cut my phone off and everything. But it's gotten to me a little sooner than that. So actually, right now I'm in a hotel.
Okay. She's like, I'm out. I'm out. Bye. I
In a
can't.
hotel,
Yeah.
decompressing. But then I get lovely people like yourself who ask me to do podcasts, and I'm like, well, I don't want to tell her no. I like her. So
Thank you. Yeah, TK and we actually came on to hang out with you last
uh-huh.
year. And I was like, oh man, she's dope. She's bomb. Because that's the first time I think we met. But I've always hear your voice, black women in media. I'm always following other black women in media. It ain't that many of us out here doing it. But I
We're
thank
growing.
you.
We're
And
growing.
we're growing. We're growing. I do want to talk about your acting career as well. You were seen in Star. And you also so you wrote and directed and produced your own one woman play, Bag Lady, years ago.
I didn't direct it.
Okay.
I did write it.
You
I
wrote
produced
it.
it and starred in it in 2017.
Okay.
I think it
And,
was 2017, 2018.
and you came out here for an acting career.
Mm-hmm.
And then but you did radio before as well, correct?
Yeah, I've been doing radio since I was in the seventh, eighth grade,
Okay. And then,
literally in
yeah.
Houston, Texas. Yeah. So I've been on the radio for most of my life,
Mm-hmm.
actually. Yeah.
So I wanted to talk about your play years
Mm-hmm.
ago, but I do talk about relationships on this show and how we need to have more self-love and look in the mirror sometimes and have accountability. And I have a section of my show called called Music Motivation,
Mm-hmm.
where I'll take a song quote and I'll encourage people with it. And I used Bag Lady before, and so I
Mm-hmm.
was It was interesting to see, like, oh, she called her play Bag Lady because this is what we deal with. We want to look at other people and blame them for the issues, for our bad relationships, for toxic relationships, and everything. And sometimes we're carrying that baggage from each relationship to the
Yeah.
next relationship, and we keep pointing the finger at other people. How did the concept come about, and how did you decide, okay, well, let me look in the mirror and stop blaming everyone else for anything I dealt with in relationships? Because we're the common denominator here.
Mhm. Yeah.
Common denominator.
Um, I think we were my best friend and I were on a flight to California, and we were just kind of joking about these men that we dated
Mm-hmm.
and how foul the relationships ended up, or how stupid we were for being in them in the first place. So
Right.
we started taking a list. You know how you with your girlfriend, you like, girl, let's make a list. So we started making a list, and it was funny. Like, the stories with these dudes were funny. We were like, this is crazy. But by the time we had got to number 10,
Like, wait a minute now.
11, 11, 12, we was like, whoa, wait a minute. What the hell is going on with us?
Mm-hmm.
And I think our laughter turned into tears, because we were like, why
Right.
have we put ourselves through this? What made us choose these particular men?
Mm-hmm.
And so we just started having like a honest conversation about how we ended up in those situations. And I decided I would write a play. So each dude, I wrote a story for each of those dudes that we wrote down.
Mm-hmm.
So she would tell me her story, I'd write it down, and then I'd have my story and I'd write it down. And so it was a collection of works, actually. It was just a collection of private journals from the
Wow.
both of us about these men. And I said, I think one day I'm gonna make this into a play. And so that was probably in 2000. And I didn't do the play until 2014.
Mm. And so, how did that come about? You said, so that took about 14 years, not for you just to develop it, but was it 14 years for the idea to come into fruition? Like, you
No,
thought
I
about it?
always kind of thought in the back of my mind that I would turn it into a one woman show. I
Mm-hmm.
just, because I had just moved to LA, I really didn't know what my journey was going to be in the city.
Mm-hmm.
And so there was just something that was in the back of my mind. And I think when I started realizing, oh, because when you first move to LA, I think your thought process is, I need to meet this person, and this person so that they can put me on.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I learned rather quickly that it's not about meeting this person, this person to put you on. It's about you shining your own light so
Yeah.
that people gravitate to you. When you turn on the light, the mosquitoes and the flies come to it.
Mm-hmm.
not
Mm-hmm.
not calling people mosquitoes and flies, but
No, I
the
get it.
light attracts the audience.
Mm-hmm.
And so um, I started like rumbling through my head, because I was very unhappy when I first got to LA. I was miserable. I went into a state of depression. I had a panic attack,
Mm.
and it was very difficult for me to adjust to the city in terms of trying to find my footing and having a job, finding a place to live, finding my tribe.
Mm-hmm.
All of that was really hard. And I was doing a little bit of everything, trying to figure it all out. And I think um, at some point, I thought, you know what, I need to start writing this play. And so I actually started to write more of those collections of stories and turn them into a play. So I started writing and fleshing it out a little bit more my first few years here. And then once I got a little name for myself,
Mm-hmm.
I said, I think it's time to pull it out. I think it's time um, for me to talk to women now. And this was after I had done my microphone mixers, which were talent showcases that I did in LA.
Mm-hmm.
And after I was done with my talent showcases, I needed to find another journey for me. And that, I think that was my next journey, was to do my one woman show. And so I shut the mixers down so that I could focus more on my
Mm-hmm.
acting. And the first thing I wanted to do was to showcase my acting abilities. What I didn't realize was that the play was not about me nor my acting abilities or my ability to get an acting job, because that did not happen from the play.
Okay.
um, the play was actually God using the gifts that He's given me as far as writing and acting to heal women. And so I realized that the play wasn't about me. And as soon as I realized that, things began to grow with the play.
Mm-hmm.
We did it. It sold out every time we did it, it sold out.
That's
We had to
awesome.
get we had to get bigger venues every time we did it. So the first show we did 14 shows, they all sold out. We had to get a bigger venue. We did 7 shows, they all sold out. We had to get a bigger venue. We did like 5 shows, they all sold out. And somewhere in the middle, the AIDS Healthcare Foundation said, "We love this story. We think other women should hear it. It definitely is a healing." A healing show, so let's take it on tour. So we went on tour with it, to heal women. So the show um, was a lesson for me,
Mhm.
because I realized that the things that I do are not for me, they're for other people. God never does anything to edify you, He does it to edify His people.
Mhm.
So that He's never just thinking of one of us, He's thinking in totality of all of us. Just like if parents have 2 children, they're not only thinking about one child, they're thinking
Right.
about all of their children.
Right.
That's how God works. So whenever you, I realize that whenever I do something, it has not only have to benefit me, I have to be able to do it in a way that will benefit the world, because that's God's children.
Mhm.
And it took me a very, very long time to get there. And it took me age to get there. And it took me hits and failures and heartaches to get there. But I do realize
Mhm.
um, that that wasn't for me. That play bag lady wasn't for me. It was to heal women who had been wounded by failed relationships and molestation and physical abuse,
Mhm.
and just the insecurities of themselves, and the self worth, the selflessness of their own worth.
Right.
And that's what it was for. And after we toured, I was like, oh my God, this is a movement.
Yeah. That's
So
beautiful. You're creating your own content pretty much to serve others, and that's what we are put here for. God wants us to help and serve other people. So that's amazing that it was a healing experience, I'm sure, for you and for the women and people who watched your show.
yeah, I think I cried every night, because
Oh,
every night some woman would be like, here's my story. You know what I mean? Like one
hmm,
woman actually went and faced her molester face to face and
wow.
came back and told me how it worked out. I was like, oh my God, I didn't tell you to go talk to him.
Yeah,
But okay,
right. But
whatever you need to heal, you know what I mean? And
but
I'm glad
that's super
I could be
powerful.
the catalyst of that. So
That's super, super powerful. So that's awesome. You know, you don't know how your story can help other people. I say with my Go Girl podcast, it kind of started because I left a toxic, emotionally abusive relationship. And then my mind was just super clear and all these ideas came to me. Go Girl has been in my spirit for now 14 years. I finally did something with it starting last year. It became a podcast. Now I'm trying to do video interviews and the book and everything. But it's like, sometimes you have to use your story to help other people heal.
yeah.
That's what we're all here for. It's
And
connection.
yeah, and I also think we have to resolve our past. We all come from
Mhm.
a tattered past, and sometimes you have to revisit it and resolve what's been in the past in order to move forward. And that's very much what Bag Lady is about. In the beginning of the show, you see me as a little girl, and you see what I go through that formulates who I have become.
Right.
And in the end, you see me literally walk up to that same little girl
Mhm.
and take her bags away from her and put them in one big bag and then burn them live
Wow.
on stage. So you see me going back to my past as a grown woman and resolving that and telling that little girl, you're going to be okay.
Mhm.
This is going to turn out good for you. So it's okay to drop those bags and all of those emotions and the bitterness and the anger and the self the self the insecurities
Mhm.
that you have. It's okay to let all of that go now and burn it in the trash
Mhm.
and redevelop and come into the woman that God wants you to be and that God made you to be and that God purposed you to be.
And talking to your inner child is important. A lot of people, I feel like we're now on that journey. A lot of us are in the space where we're trying to heal ourselves and we're journaling and we're talking to our inner child and trying to figure out why we are the way we are. So that's very important. And you put it in a play. But what are some tips, or what's the first tip that you would give to a woman in order to heal that wound or to get rid of that baggage? I journal a lot. What would you suggest?
I think the first thing is you have to know what it is.
Mhm.
Like you have to identify it.
Yeah.
And journaling is a great way to identify it.
Mhm.
You can't heal something if you don't know where the hurt is or where it's
Right.
come from.
Right.
You know, if I'm having a liver problem and something wrong with my liver, I can't go working on my heart
Mm-hmm.
or my kidney, because my
Mm-hmm.
liver is still going to be affecting the whole body, the
Of
totality of
course.
my body.
Of
So
course.
you have to find out where the hurt is, and you have to, that's how you start healing it, and you have to confront it. And I don't mean confront it as in like that woman did, like go knock on the
Yeah.
door and be like, your husband molested me. You know,
Right.
that,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that may be your way, but I'm saying whatever that confrontation is to you, you have to do it.
Mm-hmm.
My confrontation was to write a play and to hear other women's stories, to know that I'm
Mm.
not alone.
Yeah.
And so that's how I confronted it. Um, but that could mean several different things for several different people. You
Yeah.
know, confronting could just be forgiving yourself
Mm-hmm.
for whatever it was that happened to you, so that you can realize it was never your fault in the first place.
Right. And I think that's the toughest part for a lot of people on their healing journey. It's the toughest part, forgiving someone else, forgiving an abuser or whoever, and then really forgiving yourself and knowing, okay, this wasn't my fault. This wasn't supposed to happen to me,
Right.
or, I did not invite this on to happen to me. And I feel like a lot of people get stuck in that part. But with forgiving ourselves, it helps us to accept ourselves and accept our experiences and embrace our past so
Yeah.
that we can truly let it go and become better women and help other women heal, because we've learned those tools and now we want to share it with other women.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree.
So, um, so you won a couple of awards from that show. Which one was it? Acting, was it
Um,
writing?
um, Best actress,
Yes.
best one person show, and best producer. No, no,
That's
no,
awesome.
no, no, no. Best one person show, best writer, and best producer.
That's awesome. Congratulations on that.
I think I was more excited about the best writer
Yeah, because
award.
it's your work. Correct. It's your work. And are you going to do any more of your microphone mixers? Are you going to bring it back? Or you're like, girl, no, right now
You know
I'm going to take
what,
care of myself.
girl?
I know people who miss it.
I love my mixers. My mixers were my baby, and I want to share with your viewers how my mixers came along, because
Yes,
maybe they can
please.
be encouraged by it.
Yeah.
So I used to do a radio show in Birmingham, Alabama, the morning show. I was on the morning show in Birmingham, Alabama. And Birmingham, Alabama was one of the best times I had in my life.
Mm.
The best times I had in my life.
I just want to say my family's from Selma, Alabama.
Uh-huh.
So, we might be
Sound
cousins.
like it wouldn't sound like any piece of Alabama would be the best time a black person
Right.
would have. FYI.
Uh-huh.
Given its history, its tainted historical
Yeah.
context. But Birmingham, Alabama was the best time. I met some of my best friends. I developed and grew as a radio personality in the best type of way.
Mm-hmm.
I was making like buku's amounts of money at the age of 22. I mean, it was just the best time. And when I moved to LA, I had such high expectations for myself, and goals that I thought that I would hit pretty quickly,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't. And I became very sad, depressed, and all that other stuff I told you. And when I got on the radio, I thought I would be happy again, like I was in Birmingham. Like I compared everything to Birmingham,
Mm.
everything. And I could not get back what I had in Birmingham, no matter how hard I tried. And so my girlfriend and I sat down and we were like, okay, let's do this. What was it in and about Birmingham that made you feel good? And
Mm-hmm.
how can you take that and apply it to Los Angeles? And I was like, I don't know. I don't know. But it required some sit down time and some time for me to reflect and figure out, why was I so happy in Birmingham?
Mm-hmm.
And what was it that made me feel so creative and so jovial? And so I actually sat down to think about it, and I was like, oh my God. In Birmingham, I was able to be a radio personality and created avenues to also maintain my acting goals.
Yeah.
And so I hosted an event called Love Jones.
Mm-hmm.
Love Jones is a movie about poetry.
Yeah.
And Love Jones was my poetry show that I would do on Wednesdays. I called it Love Jones Wednesdays. And I would have poets come and spit their poems.
Mm.
And I loved everything about that. And then I would do um, stage productions in the Birmingham school districts. I would create a play and take it from school district, from school to school, for Black kids.
Okay.
And I was like, I'm not doing that here. I haven't found my identity. And that's why I'm unhappy, because I'm a part of a show, but I'm so deeply trying to be a part of somebody else's thing in terms of wanting to be on TV or wanting to be, in somebody else's play. And I was trying so hard to be a part of somebody else's thing,
Right.
that I had become depressed and miserable because it was just me, not realizing that, but that's all you need if God has given you a gift.
The same thing is within you, no matter where you go.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I compare life to the Wizard of Oz.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
The ruby red slippers. You've had them all the time. All you had to do was click them. Like, you could have been gone home.
Yes.
Are you still here? You could have been home.
Yes.
But you had to go through the journey. You had to meet those three people. There's a at the end of the Wizard of Oz, Glinda the Good Witch tells Dorothy, all you have to do is click your heels 3 times. And the Scarecrow said, you mean tell me she could have clicked her heel 3 times this whole time?
Mm-hmm.
Well, why didn't you just tell her that? Like, literally, the Scarecrow literally says, well, why didn't you just tell her that from the beginning? And she says, because she wouldn't have believed me.
Mm.
And so many of us don't believe in ourselves, that God has to take us through everything that we go through just to see that it's always in us. The seed of itself creates, if you can't plant a watermelon seed and grow an orange.
Mm-hmm.
You can only plant a watermelon seed and grow a watermelon, an orange seed and grow an orange. So the seed of the thing is in itself. And when you believe in yourself, that's all you need. Like, you can be the most untalented, the most talentless person on the face of the earth. Donald Trump is the president of the United States with 0 skills. And I'm not speaking from my opinion. I'm speaking from a factual basis, based on presidents of the past who have either served in the army or in the military, or who have Ivy League degrees, or who've had some sense of social or political experience.
Mm-hmm.
Compared to the presidents of the past, his experience is 0. But his belief, that man's belief system, is through the roof. He is the biggest liar that believes his lies. And because of that, whatever he says happens.
Mm-hmm.
And so when the Glinda the Good Witch says, well, if I told her, she wouldn't have believed me. So she had to go through that.
Yep.
So for me, I had to go through all of that to realize, oh, every time I'm trying to be in part of somebody else's clique,
Yep.
I'm my own clique.
That's
and
it.
So when I sat down to think about what those things were that made me happy in Birmingham, and realized it was the things that I was doing that I enjoyed that made me happy, and that gave me fulfillment and joy and enjoyment, and the way that other people had received it and also taken pleasure in that. And I thought, well, what would it be in LA that would create that same atmosphere? And the only thing I knew is that when I moved to LA, for years, I had been going to casting
Your auditions or casting workshops. Okay.
That cost $200, $150. They were pretty expensive.
Right.
And you typically get nothing out of it. I had decided that if I paid that much money, I was going to ask as many questions as I could. I was going to talk to as many people as I can. I was going to make the most of my money, because the casting sessions themselves are garbage. You act, do a scene, and they be like, okay, thank you. And then they take your money.
Right.
So I was like, what if I could do one for Black people who don't have opportunities to show themselves and only charge $10 not to perform, but to come in. So $10 is just the admission fee. And I can make the performance kind of cool by allowing them not to know whether they're going to perform that night or not.
Oh,
I
okay.
just pull their name out of a hat.
Mm-hmm.
And if your name comes out of the hat, you get to perform.
Got it.
Because that's what Hollywood is based on. Hollywood is based on chance. Hollywood is based on preparation. And Hollywood is based on who you know. So I would be like, if you know somebody like me or somebody else who maybe knows me, and maybe I'll let you on, you know, or you can pull your hat, you know, your name out of a hat, and bam, it's on you. You get to do your thing. And we brought John Singleton, Robert Townsend, Leah Daniels. Like, we brought Black managers, Black casting directors, Black producers. We brought a collection of fantastic people into those mixers. And what made them fun was that after you perform, you get to drink, you get to mix and mingle with those industry guests. Like, they don't just come and then leave. And you get to form your own tribe, because you're meeting people who are like-minded. You're meeting people who had just arrived to LA. You're meeting people from places that you're from that you never knew. You can meet a writer, and the writer can meet an actor, and an actor can meet a lighting person. So it was really a connection place for Black people. Right. So that's why we called it Max Minute Microphone Mixer. But you only got 1 minute to perform. So that's why we did it.
Wow. And that would be huge right now too, with the Monday monologues that people have on social media. Yeah. You can only post 1 minute on Instagram and Facebook and wherever. So that's huge. Yeah.
So that came out of me craving a certain sense of purpose and happiness.
Yep.
And the happiness was found within that purpose. So many people have said they've gotten jobs and managers from those mixers. And a lot of people have asked me to bring them back. And what I said was, I will bring my mixers back whenever I am in a movie that goes to the big screen.
Okay.
So
I'm gonna hold you to it.
That is whenever I make my first big screen movie debut, I will bring my mixers back.
I love that. We heard it here on the Go Girl podcast.
So I don't know when that's gonna happen. If that's gonna happen, I don't know what's
going to happen, because you spoke it. You spoke it into existence. It's going to happen.
That's when I'll bring my mixers back. The weekend after opening night.
The weekend after too?
Mm-hmm. The weekend after opening night for my big blockbuster movie. The weekend I'm gonna do my mixer.
Okay. I'm excited for it. I had some friends who used to go back in the day, and they would talk about it pretty often. Like, yeah, I'm going. It was like a Friday night. I'm going Friday, going to the mixer, and she always having the right people there. And it's just an exciting time, especially because we don't get that many opportunities.
Oh.
That's what we're talking about now with even what's happening in the world, systemic racism and everything. So we have to create our own opportunities. So I love that you did that and you saw a need for it, because that's what you missed in Alabama. That's what you didn't see happening out here, because those classes are very expensive.
Girl, yeah. I was like, it's just $10 to get in. Like,
yeah.
And I remember somebody saying to me, like, I got into an argument with an artist, and he was mad because he was like, you don't pay the mailman to deliver your mail. Why would you pay why would you have to pay? Why would a performer have to pay to perform? And I was like, well, performers aren't paying to perform. They're paying to come in.
Right.
They're paying to view the show. They might not perform at all.
Right.
So he just didn't understand the concept. He was like, it's a racket and you're trying to make money. And I'm like, you don't know my heart. You don't know my soul. That's not who I am.
Exactly.
I don't do anything to make money. Nothing. I have never been motivated by money. Mm-hmm. I'm motivated by my heart and my spirit.
Exactly. And everything that's spirit led will lead you to what you need anyway, so don't do it for the money.
God gonna provide.
Exactly. So just do what's in your heart, do what's in your spirit. I know a lot of people try to chase the money and a quick buck, and it's like, no, chase what's in your heart. Like you said, chase what's in your spirit. God speaks to us all the time. Meditate, pray, journal, get close to him so that you can know what you need to do to get your coins right in this world. Okay. He will provide.
Yes.
So I don't want to take all your time because I know you're trying to
Happen.
relax right now, trying to decompress because I get it, girl. It's same here. I did want to talk about one last thing, and we don't have to get too into it if you don't want to, but I just saw this on your Instagram. So I
You
said,
can talk about anything you want to talk
what's she
about.
talking about? Well, hold
Let's
on.
go, Ashley.
Let
Whatever
me
you want.
let me check my
You can ask me anything, Ashley.
okay, hold on. My battery is dying, so
Oh, that's not good. You
oh,
want to record over here.
right. So we need to make sure that this because the computer will turn off on its own.
That microphone sounds really good and crisp and clear, though.
Thank you. Yes, the Yeti.
I had
Yeti
it.
microphone, yeah. So, and I usually have my popper on here, but I
Oh,
kind of like it without. It looks
yeah,
good
sounds
without.
good.
Okay, perfect. Hold on.
She gonna edit this part out anyway.
That's right. All right, cool. Okay. Yeah, see the light getting low and everything. Okay, so there is one post on your Instagram that I saw recently, like a day or two ago, and it
Mhm.
says, "Anybody else wish a bitch would right now?" So I want to know what you were talking about in that moment, because that's all it
I,
was.
I wanted to say anybody else wish a motherfucker would right
Mm,
now. That's what I
okay.
wanted to say, but I censored myself. Um, for all my old school people who don't appreciate a nice, good colloquial curse word. Um, at that moment, I was thinking about all of the Karens that are going around kind of, why did you have your mask on? Well, why are you painting Black Lives Matter there? Well, why didn't you sit to the left? Whatever, it's kind of like enough already.
Mhm.
Like enough. And I saw that black lady beating up that white lady with the water hose who had beat in the car of the Hispanics with a hammer.
Okay, I didn't hear this story.
The black lady beat her up real bad. And she was like, I'm tired. I'm tired of y'all. I'm tired of y'all. And I just felt that I'm tired of y'all in my soul.
Mhm.
Because she didn't mean I'm tired of white people. She meant I'm tired. It's almost like when the bully gets you, the bully is taking your lunch money every single day.
You get fed up.
And finally you get fed up and you like, I'm tired. I'm fighting you back. And because this is built up in me, you about to get the biggest ass whooping you've ever received in your life.
Yeah.
And everybody's about to see it. And that's kind of how I felt. I felt like I wish somebody would say something to me right now because I'm ready to release this tension that I have.
Mm.
And I would love to release it on a racist. It would be
Woo.
the best way.
Woo.
That's what I felt at that moment.
He said in that moment.
Yeah.
He said on a racist. God, well, I hope no Karen has to ever encounter Tammy Mack in
And
this
I'm pretty
moment.
nice. Like I'm pretty
She's
healed
like,
and
I'm pretty
nice.
nice.
I'm pretty nice. It take a lot to get me revved up.
Yeah, same here. But it's like you said, if you keep being abused or anything, if something keeps happening to you, you keep tolerating it. Like,
At some
all
point
right,
you
all
want
right.
to
It's
burn the bed.
gonna, yeah. And
Yeah.
it's like a bubble, or a balloon. You keep filling it with anger and rage.
It's gonna pop.
Eventually, it'll pop, and you might not like the consequences, but it is what it is. Because
Yeah.
I just
What did you expect to happen? What?
right, just like right now with a lot of them being upset about the looting and not in the buildings burning, but not the bodies dying. And I'm just like, do you not get it? I had someone say, oh, well, um, how can the retaliation be worse than the crime? Like, so you think someone dying is not as bad as buildings burning? Are you kidding me right now,
Yeah,
girl? So
it's
it's it's
crazy.
it's crazy, and it's kind of exhausting to try to preach often, and or not even preach, try to explain
Yeah.
ourselves to racists. It's exhausting to or people who just have white privilege and they just live in their bubble and they just don't understand. They don't
Yeah.
get it.
It doesn't need to be explained. It's in history books everywhere.
Yeah.
So
Well, they don't want to. They don't want to read it or understand it or know it.
they wrote the motherfucking. Oh, I'm sorry. They wrote the history
No,
books.
you good.
They wrote the history books.
Right.
That's why the history books are so ill-informed. That's why they're
Mm-hmm.
so full of lies and things that aren't factual. They wrote the history books. So in their own books that they've written, we are slaves.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you not believe what you wrote?
Right. They wrote it, and it's still out there. Honestly, I didn't learn a lot about our own history until I went to college and had the Black Studies college courses where we talked
Mhm.
about our history. And I'm like, oh, shoot, we went through some shit, but you
Yeah.
don't know if they wrote it, you know? So
Yeah.
it's unfortunate. And, but now, like you said, with the Karens, that's pretty much white people calling on Black people for nothing. There's now a law, the Amy Cooper law, I believe was passed somewhere where you cannot
Yeah, in
call
New York.
in
Mm-hmm.
New York. You cannot
911 for
call
something frivolous.
for right, exactly, because a bird watcher told
Want
you
you to
to
put your
put
dog on
a
the leash.
dog on your leash. Yeah, because you're told what to do or told
Yeah.
to follow the rules. So, well, I hope your day, or I kind of want you to release.
I'm like, you gotta wrap this up on a positive note. Don't wrap this up
I
on
know.
my Cooper shit. Give me some light, some love, something I can go back to my bed with.
I know. I was, and I had an arrow too. Like, dang, I should have probably said that under this part right here. Like we probably shouldn't have talked about that at towards the end. You know what I mean? Well, tell people what you're working on. I know that you are now cast games people play. Can you tell people about that? So
No, I just did an episode of Games People
you
Play.
did an episode
Yeah,
of
I did
games
an
people play.
episode.
Okay.
Um, I don't have any acting projects coming up in the
Okay.
moment, but I don't want to live through. I don't think anybody has any acting projects coming up right now.
No, we don't. And the industry is trying to make some changes right now because that's what I'm doing right now. I'm an actress and it's been very slow. It's
Yeah,
transition. We're trying to do self tapes. That's why I have this light now because I'm like, oh,
that's
I got to
good
buy a
light.
light.
That's good light. That's really good light.
Thank you. Yeah, the
What is that?
light
A ring light?
it's a small little ring light from Best Buy, about
That's good light.
$49.99. Yeah, and it's really little and it's great for self tapes. It's great for this. So that's why I wanted to do videos now. And I feel like the whole industry is changing. And pretty much in life, you're always going to be changing or adjusting. And we just got to move with the times.
Gotta move.
You got to move with the times. And
Moving.
um, can we leave people with a powerful word or encouraging word on how we can become better from this time? I feel like it is a breakdown right now, and we can break through and make ourselves better coming out of this pandemic. Right now, you are decompressing. You're on a little vacay. You went away.
Well, I go back. Look, I'm back at
But
work
you have to
tonight.
work. You have to
Tonight,
work tonight. So you're
so
not
I'm
taking a
back
total
on
break.
tonight. This is a very, very short. Like this is like a very short break.
So you're not
If
taking
you
a
can
total
call it
break.
a break at all, because I'm about to go into a writing session right when I'm done with you. So
Oh shoot! Look, you just keep doing your thing, girl. That's what I gotta say. Go, girl, to you. That no matter what, you are still inspiring and still encouraging people. You're still
right.
empowering all of us. We can hear your voice all of the time. Actually, tell the people how they can hear you.
You can hear me every day on KJLH 102.3 in Los Angeles from 3 to 7 p.m. And you can hear me online at kjlhradio.com. And you can see me every night at 8 p.m. on Fox Soul. And they have some different programmings on a
Mm-hmm.
daily basis. So sometimes I may be on at 9. But for the most part, I'm on at 8 p.m. on Fox Soul. And get ready for a different kind of show coming up next week sometime on the
What does
Tammi
that mean? Or do we have to wait
show.
and see?
Well, no. You don't have to wait and see. I'm going in more of a trajectory of like talking about what's happening and speaking to Black people and our needs. So I'm
Okay.
going to be very specific about what I talk about, and it's going to be less entertaining and more informative, educational, and inspiring. So that's the direction that I'm moving the show in.
And it has a lot of purpose. That's awesome. And I feel like speaking to you, you do things based on purpose and something fulfilling rather than fluff at all. Whenever you
But I
speak,
do like to toot
have
it and
fun.
boot it. I
Of
do like
course,
to toot it and boot it.
you like to toot it and boot it.
I like to toot it and boot it. Hey, toot it
Toot it
and
and
boot
boot
it.
it.
Yeah,
You're like, I'm balanced. Don't get it
I'm
twisted. I'm
balanced, very
balanced.
balanced.
Well, that's perfect. So go girl for being balanced and for doing everything entertaining people and inspiring people. I admire you. I admire your work, especially woman to woman, black woman to black woman in media. I really look up to you. So, and you dance as well. We were at the Women's Empowerment event
Girl, I don't be
last
dancing.
year.
That's a
Yes, you
lie.
do. Last year, and you
I
were
rap. I
dancing.
rap, but I don't dance. I rap.
Well, bust a rhyme then.
I'm not busting no rhyme right now. Girl,
I
no.
can't throw a beat. I can't just.
Girl, no, we ain't doing that. But that's a good beat. That's a good beat.
No, okay. Okay, Tammi Mac. Well, have an amazing evening with your writing session, and go, girl, for everything that you're doing in the community, for Black people, for women in general. You continue to inspire. You continue to be great, and I thank you for all that you do. And I just want to say, go, girl, and thanks for coming
Thank
on the
you,
Go Girl
Ashley. You
podcast.
go girl too. Go girl. Yes.
Yes. You're so welcome. Thank you. And have a good night.
You
Um,
too.
I will send you this when everything's done, okay?
All right now.
All right. Okay, bye. Okay, Tammi Mac, cool as hell. Be sure to listen to her on KJLH. Watch her on Fox Soul TV. She is amazing. Oh, and follow her on social media, The Tammi Mac Show. That's TheTammyMacShow. All right. Go Girl Podcast. Be sure to listen to all episodes. AshleyCaprice.com. Follow on Instagram at Go Girl Podcast or at I am Ashley Caprice. Have a good one. And go, girl.